Hello there, and my name is Conman2004, and today I'm going to be doing a reaction video. I'm going to be doing a reaction video that all of you have been waiting so long for like 2 years, because in September of 2024 I did two reaction videos. I did a reaction to the Super 8 gas station abduction scene, and I did a reaction to the train crash scene, and of course, and other than those, of course, I did do in late 2025, October of that year of 2025, I did a video covering, where I explained, where I analyzed all the marketing trailers and spots for Super 8, and I did a reaction to this train crash remix that someone posted online in 2020. It was really awesome, by the way. The yeah, but yeah, here the scene that we're going to be reacting today is notorious the notorious Super 8 alien military bush attack sequence. And as I've explained many times, this is one of the scariest. Like, this, to me, this is still one of the scariest scenes, like, ever. Like, it is one of the scariest scenes still. Even though I've watched Super 8 so many countless times ever since I first watched the movie on Paramount Plus back in March of 2024, and of course bought the Blu-ray 2 weeks after, in mid-March, like March 19, 2024, which was 2 weeks after I first watched the movie on March 4th of that year, like about 2 weeks earlier. And of course, I watched the movie a lot, during 2024 and during 2025 and pretty much most of 2026, pretty much. And as I've said before, it's my third favorite movie of all time, behind Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Coraline. So yeah, this is me right there. So what? So yeah. So we're going to be doing this. Right? Right, me? Of course, yes. Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I'm going to warn you, this scene is going to be it's going to be really scary, and I hope you're locked up in your seats, and hope you're locked up in your seats as you see me react to this scene, to this bus attack scene, because this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to be like. Yep, this is just an average audience reaction, but yeah. But any further ado, let's get to it.
What's gonna happen to us?
I think we're gonna die.
Okay, shut up, man. They wouldn't do that.
I'm not kidding. I think they're gonna kill us.
They're not gonna kill us. You know why?
Why?
Because we're just...
Whoa, my God. Oh, that's the alien right there.
Was that thing from the train? Please stop. Please stop. Holy
Contact with precious cargo. Cleveland City Center, currently headed for...
Driver! You see anything up there? No, sir. Nothing.
Where is it?
What's that gun?
Where's the alien?
Seiko bolt action 30-06 with a leather load. Okay, we get it. Those aren't bullets. He's loading tracking darts.
Here, tag it.
He's thinking, oh, I don't want to do this.
Yes, sir. Open the door.
He's thinking, like, I don't want to open the door. Well, this thing is gonna come after you. Ooh.
I don't feel good about this.
Sir, is there a particular area that you want me to shoot at?
Oh my, oh man.
Get us out of here now! What are the firepower we have?
There's a monster out there, Joe!
Oh man. Oh no.
I got it, sir!
Whoa. Oh man, kids. You gotta get out of there.
Guys, the seatbelt's
You
killing
gotta get out of there. You gotta get out of there. Oh, that's another soldier down. There's that alien right there.
Use the big guns. Whatever happens to me, do not let it leak.
Oh man, that alien's gonna tear up that bus.
I want to go home so bad!
Where are the keys? Over my head! Help me! Alexa!
Please, sir, open the door!
Please, open the door! Oh! Oh man!
Dead!
Man, that was brutal.
Guys, there's broken glass! Guys, hurry!
Oh
Hurry,
man.
let me get on your shoulders, come on!
Okay,
Go,
come
get
on,
up!
come on.
Here we go,
You
go!
can do it, you can do it.
Come on, Joe, do it!
You can do
Do
it.
it, Joe, let's go! Do it, come on!
Come on. Yeah. You gotta get out of there. You gotta get out. Bam. Whoa. Awesome. Look at this. This is so great. Oh man. Oh, now look at this. Ooh. Yep, we're dead. Yep, we're dead. Oh! Oh my gosh! What? Whoa, my gosh, that was... Oh man, wow, that last part, wow, that was very bloody and gory for a PG-13 movie. I'm not gonna lie. Like literally, if you just look at that scene again, see that? Man, just his head, like his upper half of his body, just disappears in this spot of blood right there. Just in this spot of blood, just disappears just right off. Wow, yep. Wow, this scene was scary. Yeah, this scene, when I watched this movie for the first time, this scene of course, this movie is filled with a lot of intense, scary sequences, like the gas station abduction scene, where Rain, the gas station attendant, gets abducted, and Sheriff Pruitt gets abducted, and that power line abduction scene where this power line worker Rooney basically, like literally gets abducted by the alien, just where he's like trying to fix the power lines, and the alien just snatches him just right off the platform, and he basically, hits the glass, hits the glass window of his, of his truck, yeah, and just disappears. And of course, there's also another a very intense abduction scene where Alice Daner gets abducted, and and there's also, and of course, that infamous scene, where Joe and Carrie are basically are trying to like rescue Alice, like they're under, they're in the alien's lair underground, and they discover these unconscious human bodies, f- you know basically hanging from the cavern ceiling, and they suddenly see the alien, eating a human leg, with a very very wet crunching sound. Yeah, like, and yeah, and about that Alice Dana induction scene, what made that scene even more horrifying was before that, Alice basically gets back from Joseph's house, because during that scene, Joe and Alice like basically have a talk, about how Alice's dad, got so drunk that he basically missed his shift, and that Joseph's mother, had to take over for him, which, as you all know, resulted in her very unfortunate death. And and basically, when Alice comes home, well, you know her dad tells her, like, you want to tell me where you were, or should I tell you? And he tries to get her to sit down, like he just wants to talk to her, like, where, because he knows that he's suspicious that that Alice is seeing Joe again, and just out of just and Alice just gets so stressed that she just basically just runs away from home on her bicycle. And not to mention, Alice's dad basically starts chasing her with her vehicle, like, so, like very dangerously close, and he ends up basically crashing his car towards a parked car in the street. And man, that scene is absolutely very emotionally intense, telling you that. And basically Alice like just turns around and looks at the wrecked car, and like she's just worried. But then of course the alien suddenly shows up behind her, and then of course the alien abducts Alice. And as as Alice's dad notices, you know her being abducted through his cracked rear mirror, like he's just like pretty much helpless, like he can't even rescue her own daughter. And by the time he struggles like to get out, like he just struggles to get out of this wrecked car, Alice is gone. Yeah, that made that abduction scene even more terrifying, like really emotionally intense, which of course triggers the whole rescue mission thing. But yeah, the bus man the Super 8 bus attack scene was really intense. Like it was really really intense, because of course because the four kids that are on the back of the bus, Joe, Carrie, Charles and Martin, they're questioning whether the government, whether the soldiers are going to kill them, because of course the soldiers caught them being at Dr. Woodward's classroom, watching his top secret films and reading his research documents about the alien. Yeah. And of course, even before then, the soldiers knew that they filmed the train wreck, filmed, the alien escaping on their Super 8 camera, because of course earlier in the movie, after the kids, run away from the military, after Dr. Woodward, tells them to, go, basically, you see Colonel Nellick, pick up a Super 8 film stock on the ground, and yeah, basically you definitely know that, yeah, he senses that these kids definitely filmed a top secret military operation. But yeah, so while that talk is going on, like, while the kids talk about, like, about their, fate, about what their fate awaits, suddenly the alien just attacks the bus just head on, and literally literally the bus basically starts turning to its left, and when its tires basically just blow out, and the bus just comes to a halt. And then of course, and yeah, the lights are flickering, that's definitely a sign, that the alien is there, because the alien has a lot of, because, Cooper, the alien, can manipulate electrical grids. That's why the lights are flickering. So yeah, that definitely adds a lot to the suspense, because yeah, the flickering lights is definitely a very major recurring suspense element throughout Super 8. It works very, very well, because it signifies, the aliens' presence without ever even showing it. Like before you even see it pop out. Yep, that's when you know it. Yeah, that's something bad's going to happen. But yeah, like basically Colonel Nellick basically forces one of his soldiers to to try to tag the alien, and forces the bus driver to open the door, and like you can just tell they're like, man, you can tell that they don't even want to do it. Like they know that their life will be ending, and yep, and their fears are definitely evaluated when when that one soldier that was holding tag that tag gun, like the alien just suddenly just snatches him and just bangs him in the bus, and basically he's dragged away out of the out of the buses out of the out of the bus's door to his death. And yeah, the kids are like really panicking. That's when Martin basically like throws up, which is really funny. Like it really kind of actually balances out the scene kind of a little bit, because it feels like as again, these are 14-year-old 1979 teenagers, reacting, to an overwhelmingly dangerous situation, a life or death situation. And yeah, and I basically, like the soldiers are like trying to get out, but then of course the alien just starts just tilting the bus on its side, like just pushing it, aggressively, just pushing the bus, like just shaking the bus, and then literally the alien just tilts the bus to its side, and yep, and that's when they know, like they're trapped, like the kids are trapped. Like that's what adds to the scene is how so claustrophobic this scene is, because the camera is nearly almost locked onto that back of the bus. like the back, the military cage back of the bus, because you know that, these kids are, they're in danger, they can't get out, they're trapped, they got to find a way to get out, before the alien, rips the bus apart, before it can get to them. And yeah, and then of course you just, and of course, and then and of course you see, and then of course you see this one soldier that basically is like just dead right on, because of course he got killed because because the kinetic force of the aliens is tilting the bus, like that killed, that basically you like see his lifeless body right there, and then you see the alien just trying to smash like that top side of the bus, like, and yeah, the amazing alien warring sounds as usual, because the aliens' warring sounds are phenomenal. And yeah, and then of course, Colonel Nellick, tries to call the military, to use the big guns, but however, the alien just quickly just rips that top of the bus apart, like you see its hands, tentacle hands sticking out, and yeah, and the kids, are trying to frantically, are trying to are panicking, like saying, they're trying to tell him, like, I need to get out, like, we need to get out, get out, get out. Like they're like they're like the kids are trapped, but of course, and Colonel Nellick are talking like, where are the keys, and but of course the bus driver is like stuck, his legs are stuck, and then you see this very brutal scene of the alien just smashing, just smashing him to his death. Like that was very hard PG-13, even though there isn't any blood and gore during that part. Yeah, it doesn't matter how bloodless it is. Like you can just like, it makes a very loud wet crunching sound as the alien just smashes him to his death. Like that is very hard PG-13 right there. And yeah, the kids know, like, yeah, they gotta get out. They gotta get out of they gotta get the heck out of here. But no, but fortunately though, Joe notices that there's broken glass to the top. They try to get up on try to get up on each other. And Joe tries to punch that glass, that glass ceiling window open. And of course, and that's when it really starts to be very massive underlying rush, because the alien, like, and literally when Colonel Nellick like tries to pull out his gun, to try to shoot to kill the thing, like that, yeah, that he's basically dead by the time the alien just punches the bus ceiling and basically just starts crawling in. And then of course, just before then, just roughly a little after that, Joe manages to punch the glass apart, and of course they manage to try to get out, and they see this. Yeah, you get to see this kind of a bit good view of the alien right there, like only the backside of it though. But man, like that part was amazing, and it's like the in each side, these kids are like panicking, like they're trying to crawl out of the bus. And yeah, and then they managed to, and they thankfully managed to try to, they managed to get away, but they managed to like crawl out of the bus and get out, get out of the area. But of course, Colonel Nellick is trapped in the bus, and he tries to shoot the alien, like tries to shoot the alien, but of course, yeah, of course, this is a scene where you definitely get to see the aliens' face for the first time. And like, yeah, like here, let's see this frame. Yep, there, right there. That's really terrifying looking right back there. And yeah, and then of course, and as the alien, like trying, corners Colonel Nellick, like he just starts just smashing the bus, like, see that? Yeah, and like the whole bus, like look at that destruction right there. Yeah, look at the fangs right there. Look at that. It's like, and it makes a aggressive grunting sound right there. And yep, that's when you know that yep, that's when you know that yep, Colonel Nellick is dead. And basically the alien like essentially taunts him because to to fully explain this, because remember the alien crash landed on Earth in 1958, and Colonel Nellick and the brutal U.S. military Air Force forcefully captured Cooper, captured his entire spaceship, and locked the alien and his craft in an Area 51 facility for over 21 years. And as because again remember the alien had no intention of ever conquering Earth or hurting anyone or taking over the planet. It's just he just he just crash landed on the planet accidentally. And you know because again Cooper expected the aliens maybe to be peaceful, but of course what he instead received, instead of receiving help, he instead received it just instead the military just basically he received it just torture instead. Like the alien, like basically the military just basically tortured the alien for biological weapon research and everything. And of course that's when Dr. Woodward comes into play, because of course during that part where Dr. Woodward is like feeding the alien like some meat, and when he suddenly gets grabbed, he basically makes a, a psychological connection with the alien. He basically feels the alien's pain. He realizes that the alien is not here to. He wasn't here to like harm anyone or take over. He was, he's like he is basically just angry. Like he knows that the alien has become super duper hostile towards the humans because of the 21 years of torture and endured and everything. And that's why Dr. Woodward, because of course when he started doing writing research about about the alien, its physiological behaviors, because of course that's what I in fact there's a TV spot that I covered in my October 2025 video. There was this TV spot number 8 thing where yeah, I'm going to try to look that up, by the way, if I can actually find it that will actually back this up. Just need to find the channel. I just need to find the video. Yes, this leaked TV spot here that was published by iPlay ARG. This is the channel. This is like a legendary ARG channel that published a lot of the ARG marketing campaign materials for this film and a lot of the TV spots. Because this was of course this was published on May 27, 2011. Saying, I'm not going to say how this video was gone, although many of you know, because I'm not sure if they were allowed to publish it. Paramount does have every right to remove this video. It's a free TV spot, was likely not meant to be seen yet. But of course, as I've said, I find it very surprising why it's managed to stay up for so long, even after that. But I'm going to just show this spot to recap on, on basically why Dr. Woodward, was doing those research papers, writing about the aliens' physiological behaviors, and researching, the alien, the cubes, the magnetic cubes, how they shape shift, how they, detach. Yeah, like those cubes that you see in the train, in the aftermath of the train wreck scene, where where Joe picks one up, and how throughout the movie kind of starts moving on its own. Yeah, I'm going to show this spot right here to re-clarify.
The results of this week's test were as inconclusive as the last. We have so few answers. Indiscernible composition. The material seems to have a memory of its own. Can this being feel as well as think? Its scientific knowledge is far superior to ours. What would happen if it were freed? Did you hear that?
Super 8, rated PG-13, in theaters and IMAX June 10th.
So yeah, basically, so what happened? But however, Colonel Nellick was so angry at Dr. Woodward because he was violating the standard military procedures, because of course Dr. Woodward knew that Colonel Nellick was that he was just forcing all the scientists and everyone just to basically mistreat this alien to serve his own agenda, because Colonel Nellick wanted to dissect every single bit of the alien, and dissect its cubes, dissect its magnetic cubes to create a biological weapon, for war and everything. But Dr. Woodward knew that that this was really wrong. That's why he tried to voice out against it, and when he did, of course, he was forcefully discharged from the military, and of course, he spent his next several years being a biology teacher at the local at the local school in Lillian, Ohio. But then, of course, when he realizes, that that the military train was about to, to pass through, Ohio, he basically, that's why he drives his truck towards, that's why he drives his pickup truck towards the train and crashes it, to free the alien, because he wanted the alien to have a last chance, to escape. And although the near at the cost of although this does come at a cost to his life, though, especially because of course, during the aftermath of the train crash scene, when the Super 8 gang, discovers him, like at first he appears to be like just nearly dead. But of course, and that's when the game finds this map, and that's when they find this map, the continual map of the United States, the trains and times, it was very likely that Dr. Woodward got that map, and basically he knew where the train would be coming. That's why he derailed it. But of course, that's when Dr. Woodward kind of jump scares the kids and warns them, who are you, that the military, that they will kill you. Do not speak of this, or else you and your parents will die. But and of course, later on in the movie, of course, he is forcefully moved into a military hospital bed, and basically during that scene, Colonel Nellick, demands answers. Basically questioning, like he's basically like, we've been trying to go through your belongings, looking for evidence, how you know, and how anyone else might know. And he even questions that I knew you had someone document I knew you had someone document the train crash that night. Tell me who it was, and I'll help you. Like basically giving him a false, because of course Colonel Nellick is a very, 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 very malice, very manipulative villain, by the way. But yeah, basically, but of course, one of his soldiers basically gets this can of like of toxic substance, and basically prepares to put this lethal poison toxin basically inside Woodward's basically his his hospital wires and stuff, like basically inject it into his bloodstream. And of course, that's when Dr. Woodward gives that chilling answer. I've seen what happens, Mr. Nellick, when you take care of people. It's mine that I'm going to bait him and catch him. And that's where he issues that very, iconic, very secretive line. He's in me, as I am in him. So when you see him next, as I'm sure you will, I'll be watching you too, and that's when they inject the lethal poison into his bloodstream and that basically permanently kills him. So yeah, it's very likely that the alien basically felt his death because of course since it's already established that that they had a physiological connection, the alien felt extreme pain, to the only human that it ever had that it only ever truly knew. That's why that bus attack was not just some random monster attack. It was a revenge retaliation to kill the very captors that had tortured it for years, and that's why Colonel Nellick's death feels so publicly justified. Because remember, Colonel Nellick is of course we'll go to the Villains Wiki. Colonel Nellick, if I can find it. Because here, yep, this is his lines. Deputy, if you're asking whether you had any dangerous property on board this train, I can assure you the answer is no. This is when Colonel Nellick lies to Deputy Jackson Lamb, during the whole, like, when he's investigating because he questions, what the train was carrying, like what cargo it was carrying. Of course, you're the deputy's boy, when Nellick confronts Joe Lamb and his friends. And this is that line I just mentioned. It is mine. He is mine. I'm going to bait him and catch him. Basically, Colonel Nellick is the main protagonist. He is the cruel and ruthless leader of a special allied unit from the U.S. Air Force who is bent on capturing Cooper, of course played by Noah Emmerich. So in the history, Nellick is the leader of an LA Air Force unit in 1958. A spaceship crashed and was brought to Area 51. The pilot, known as Cooper, was subject to torturous experiments by Nellick for 20 years, as Cooper and the cubes that made up his ship were being transferred to Hangar 18, or Hangar 18, which was like a sub-area, Area 51. Former scientist Dr. Woodward, or Thomas Woodward, were transferred to Hangar 18, actually that facility in Ohio, actually. That's when Dr. Woodward drove his truck into the train, derailing it and allowing him to escape. Nellick arrives to secure the crash site while the kids flee from the scene. Nellick ends up finding the empty box of Charles's Super 8 film reels, realizing that someone potentially filmed the crash. Using a code word he overheard from the transmissions, Jack tries to get Nellick to divulge on what is really happening to the town, but his plan backfires, and Nellick has him arrested when he later goes to meet with Nellick in private, because of course during that scene, you know, Deputy Jack, is basically, you know, basically basically he and his fellow police officers are basically, decoding military radio signals, and that's when they find out, the Operation Walking Distance, which as it plays out in the movie, because they end up faking a forest fire, to forcefully evacuate the whole town of Lillian, Ohio, so, in an attempt to try to get to, to try to bait Cooper out of hiding. So basically, then Nellick kills Woodward, despite promising he would be safe. That there shows how very manipulative, because here in the type of villains is sassiest egoist. Crimes: murder, kidnapping, torture, arson, public endangerment. And orders his men to start a fire, forcing the townsfolk to evacuate while he hunts for Cooper. Where in the film, Nellick and his men storm the middle school and capture the boys. They place the boys on a security bus and head back to the Air Force Base, but Cooper attacks the bus on the way. Nellick's men are killed while Joe and his friends escape. Nellick tries to fight Cooper off, but he is no match for it. Cooper looks right at him. Nellick froze in fear as the alien exacted vengeance by biting off his head with his mouth in one attack before leaving the wrecked bus. So this is the quote here. I remember you in the lab and I recall we didn't always see eye to eye, but that is no excuse for doing what you did. You're so in the spirit moving forward and avoiding more trouble. Why don't you tell me where you put your research and who else knows about it? I know you had someone document the crash that night. Tell me who that was. I will help you. I swear to gosh, on my mother's life, we will take care of you. Again, him lying again. This is the line right here. Well, no one can somewhat parallel between three characters of the film: Dr. Woodward, Joe, and Cooper. While Dr. Woodward and Joe seamlessly have a special connection with Cooper, all while convincing them to live and go back home. Colonel Nelwick was only obsessed with killing the alien, and anyone who tried to find out his nefarious plans for Cooper, even though he briefly went on a... Okay, I'm going to just... The mass murder killed. And since I'm going to tell you, Cooper, again, since the alien was so traumatized, that's why he abducted a lot of the townsfolk's in fear, because although this was because he thought most of them were evil, due to the fact that Dr. Woodward was trying to stop the train from holding him captive. And of course, Joe, that's because, yeah, you have to understand the alien was tortured. That's why, because again, since it scared off the dogs away in the town, the humans were the only livestock, like the only food that was available. That's why, again, the alien wasn't doing it, to conquer the earth or anything. He was doing it out of pure survival, because he had to. That's why, he was scavenging all the electronics across town, the microwaves, the power lines, the car engines, to build his device under the water tower, so that it would call his cubes, to reform his ship. But of course, that's when, Joe basically, confronts the alien near the end, telling him that bad things happen, but you can still live, Yep, basically that's when Cooper realizes that not all humans are bad. Honestly, one of my all-time favorite lines from the movie, by the way. And yeah, basically, but yeah, it's just, this bus attack scene, this scene definitely pushed the PG-13 rating of the film to its limits. Like, this movie is already a pretty hard PG-13 anyway, with with its scary science fiction horror abduction sequences, such with the alien abducting people, as I've described earlier. And of course, the aggressive teenage profanity, and that very, of course, the very dark story, the dark part of it, the dark part of that, which is a major part of the plot, you know, the whole, the fact that Alice's dad is so drunk, and of course, and the fact that this movie is about two families, that are basically fractured, they're fractured apart, and but of course, once the alien crisis hits, that's when these two parents, Jack Lamb and Lois Dana realize, when they realize their kids are missing, that's when, they realize we have to find our kids. And and that's why, that's why in the ending they're both beautifully reunited. And they're able to, finally, that's when Joe is able to finally move on from the tragedy, from the tragedy of his mother's death, let go of that locket near the end, that water tower scene, which beautifully forms the alien spaceship. That scene there, that ending scene makes me cry almost every time. It makes me cry almost every time. Like, especially Michael Giacchino's his Letting Go soundtrack. Like, it is, it, there's, yeah, that ending right there, it is still, in my opinion, one of the best, like, one of my all-time favorite endings in modern cinema history. But yeah, this was the, but yeah, this was my highly anticipated. So yeah, this was my highly anticipated, my highly anticipated reaction to the Super 8 bus attack. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you haven't, please, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and anytime I upload any videos, you'll just see them. You'll just see them in your subscription activity feed, and yeah, so yeah, I will see you all in the next video. I will see you all in the next video, and you all take care. You all have a blessed day.